Hello students, today we are going to be going over 12.3 midpoints and bisectors. This is page 246 in your green packet. Our objective, I can write congruent statements for angles, lines, and triangles and use congruence to solve for unknown values. Midpoint, it's the middle point of a line segment. It is equal distance, that's equidistant means just equal distance from both endpoints, and it is the centroid or the middle both of the segment and of the endpoints. It bisects the segment. Our statement AB is congruent to BC. Since B is the midpoint here, it's basically saying AB is congruent to BC. Now, if something is the bisector here of line segment MK, MY is congruent to YK there. Okay. Now, if it's an angle bisector, like BV right here, bisects XVZ. That means that this angle is congruent to that angle. And then they go through a bunch of these different examples for you to go through. I'm going to go ahead and jump to number 10 on page 247. Mark and write statements for congruent parts. Number 10, H is the midpoint of WJ. So if H is the midpoint of WJ, we know that this line segment is congruent to that one. So the lines are statements. We can say WH is congruent to HJ. And we're talking about line segments. And that's all we know. Next, we're going to go on to 11. VU bisects MT. So VU bisects MT. That means MV is congruent to VT because it bisects. There's the middle point, so this has to be congruent to that. So we say line segment MV is congruent to line segment VT. And that's all you have to write there. Next, we see that EG bisects angle QEF. Okay, so that says EG, this one, bisects this big angle, which makes this angle right here congruent to this angle. Remember, the angles congruency is arches, and the line congruencies are little short lines. So our statement is angle QEG. Again, we have to use 3 letters because angle E could be this side, or it could be the big angle altogether. So QEG is congruent to angle FEG. And we're done with that one. Next, we're going to go on to page 248. And we're going to jump to number 15, which I think is more difficult than 13 or 14. We can let you do 13 or 14. Okay? Or 13 and 14. Okay, number 15, QP bisects RS. Here we have RP and PS are these two. So QP, this line, bisects RS. That means that this line segment and this line segment are congruent. Okay, so RP is congruent to PS, so I can set this equal to this and solve. It says solve for n. So we say 6 plus 12n equals 10n plus 14. So we can go minus 10n minus 10n. 6 plus 2n equals 14. Minus 6 minus 6. And we get 2n equals 8. Divide by 10, we know n is 4. Okay, we can double check that. So we can say n equals 4. And we say 4 times 10 is 40, plus 14 is 54. So RP would be 54. Okay, RP, so we put 4. 48 plus 6 is 54. And this PS is 54. So if they're asking us for RS, the length there, it's going to be 108. And normally I would ask you to put units on there, but they don't have any units, whether it's inches, feet, or yards, we don't know. So we just put what we do know, which is 108, and that's correct. Okay. Next, we're going to go on to 17. FP bisects EFD. So again, here's your angle, and this one bisects it in half, which means we know that measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 2 are congruent. We see this is measure of angle 1, this is measure of angle 2. We're going to solve for x, and we're going to find out what those measurements of those angles are. So we say 11x minus 1 equals 5 plus 10x. We're going to go minus 10x and minus 10x. X minus 1 equals 5. Add 1. Add 1. And we see x equals 6. Okay, so if it says solve for x, we know x is 6. Now we can find out the measurements of 1 and 2. Angle 1 is 11 times 6 is 66 minus 1, 65 degrees. Now angle 2 should be exactly the same, 60 plus 5, because I put an x in for 6 times 10 is 60, 65 degrees. They're asking us for measure EFD, so we're trying to find out the whole thing here. So we add 65 and 65, and we say that's 130 degrees. Okay, students, you can do the rest of this. You rock.